Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Tech Tuesday on the Educational AD Podcast. We're going to be right back with this week's tech guest, but as always, I want to give a shout out to my sponsors. Now, these are all great companies. I used them as an AD, as a coach. You should be using them too. So take 3 minutes, listen to our shout outs, then listen to our Tech Tuesday guest, and then go ahead and visit these sponsors. I'm telling you, you're going to be glad you did. Here we go. Hey, we want to say thanks to our good friends at Huddle for their support. I used Huddle as a football coach for years, but when I became an athletic director, I made sure our school was a Huddle school. Our coaches, our student athletes, even our parents just loved the platform. Go to Huddle.com, join the millions of users, and turn your school into a Huddle school. That's Huddle.com. We also want to say thanks to Gipper. Gipper's the modern marketing platform that makes it easy for you to turn your athletic department website into a Division I, even a professional-looking destination. Gipper's used and trusted by over 20,000 high school and college athletic programs. It's professional graphic design made easy. Thousands of templates that you can customize with your colors, your brand, your logo. Go to Gipper.com to get started. We also want to say thanks to Booster Hub, the #1 Booster Club software program. Things like sponsorship fees, concession sales, all of it flows through the Booster Hub platform. Volunteer signups, volunteer changes, you know it's going to happen. Nothing falls through the cracks. Everybody stays engaged and connected. Go to Booster Hub. Give your platforms the Booster platform they need. Give them the platform they deserve. And that's boosterhub.com. We also want to say thanks to Hometown. Hometown continues to be a leader in education-based athletics with their solutions that include things like digital ticketing, online fundraising with School Funder, athletic website construction, and a whole lot more. Their solutions are used by principals, athletic directors, and coaches, and they're going to show you how to save time at your school, how to raise more money, and how to bring your community together. You'll find it all at hometown.com. And with all our sponsors, don't forget to mention the Educational AD Podcast. We also want to say thanks to Athletic Surveys. Now, at my school, we use surveys for everything, for student athletes, for coaches, and for parents. And the information that came back was almost always over the top positive. We still got to hear from our squeaky wheel parents, but the surveys allowed us to find out their concerns, usually address them before they turned into something big. But having all that data, incredibly valuable, especially when you're visiting with a frustrated parent, maybe your principal, sometimes even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey just for you. That's athleticsurveys.com. We want to say thanks to Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. Now, I didn't get my master's from Ohio, but guess what? My assistant AD did, and it was a great experience. And while he was earning his degree, he also completed 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. Check out Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. We want to say thanks to Home Campus. Scheduling, rosters, results, facilities. Home Campus does it better, does it faster than the other platforms. Did I mention athletic eligibility and clearance? That one alone is a game changer. Go to homecampus.com to get started. That's homecampus.com. We want to say thanks to Vital Signs Wall of Fame and their content creation service, Beacon Creative. They've got a comprehensive range of services at no extra charge to help you get started as you bring your school's legacy to life. Whether it's site design or having a content advocate, Beacon Creative is going to help you share your school's stories, your legacy. I want you to reach out to Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Click on Content Services for more information. That's vitalsignswalloffame.com. And we want to say thanks to Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and you can schedule a live web demo to see their products in action. Probably the best purchase I ever made. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. Schedule that live web demo. And as with all our sponsors, don't forget to mention the Educational AD Podcast. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Tech Tuesday on the Educational AD Podcast. We're going to Nebraska today, and we're going to be visiting with Keenen McCurdy. Keenan's a wrestling coach. He's a PE teacher at Lincoln East High School. That's in Lincoln, Nebraska. He's also the co-founder of a company called GearLocker, which I think is a really cool platform for ADs and coaches. He's going to tell us all about that and more. But Keenen McCurdy, welcome to the Educational AD Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me on. This is a really cool thing that you're doing for coaches and athletic directors. Such an incredible resource. I'm excited to share my story and share GearLocker's story today.
Well, gosh, thanks for those kind words. We certainly enjoy doing it, and I think you're right. I think it is a good resource. Let's go and jump right in. We always like to let our listeners have a chance to get to know our guests. So give us your quick background, where you were born, where you grew up. As I love to say, tell us your life story in 2 minutes, but what's the Keenen McCurdy origin story?
Yeah, so I've got kind of what some people might call your standard Midwestern wrestler story background. I grew up here in Lincoln, Nebraska, went to Lincoln East High School as a student where I wrestled for my father, who was my high school wrestling coach. And then I went on and wrestled for the University of Nebraska at Kearney, wrestled for 5 years out there, just 2 hours west of where we're located here. And after I finished that up, had my degree in education and came back. I was the guy who came back to his hometown and started teaching and coaching and took over my father's old head coaching position at my old high school. So I always like to tell people that it feels a little cringy when I tell the story at the outset, but there's also a pretty cool tradition and family tradition component to it. So I've been coaching wrestling for about 17 years now. At Lincoln East High School. I've got a wide variety of employment history that has been interwoven in and out of the entrepreneurial world as well. But I've been teaching physical education here at Lincoln East High School for the last 6 years. And it was during that time period that the idea for GearLocker came up, and it really truly came up out of my own need and frustrations with managing athletic equipment. So that's kind of my story in a nutshell. Yeah, I guess maybe it's some people would call it the standard Midwestern wrestling story. Maybe some people wouldn't.
Again, I'm fascinated by wrestlers. At my high school, we had a very successful wrestling program. I was a skinny, fast kid. I played football, I was on basketball, and ran track. But I had friends who were wrestlers. And then when I went to college, went to an NAIA school in Oregon, Pacific University.
Yeah.
At the time, kind of a legendary wrestling program. You're wired differently, I think, to be a wrestler. Now, you said your dad was a coach. Was it, and these are my words, was he saying, you're going to be a wrestler, or was it just growing up around that you knew you were going to be a wrestler?
Yeah, you're going to get a different story depending upon who you ask, if you ask me or if you ask my dad. My dad was a very successful coach, 3-time state championship coach here in Nebraska, state championship coach in Kansas. I grew up around the sport from the time I was in diapers. So I always like to joke whenever I'm around my dad that, I would have been such a good baseball player if my dad would have let me play, But I was just wrestling from the time I was in diapers to the time that I, graduated high school. So it was just in my bloodline, and I'm thankful for everything that wrestling has given me and taught me. And looking back on it, obviously pretty special opportunity to get to wrestle for my dad, who was a very successful coach that impacted a lot of lives along the way.
Yeah, and again, just such a great sport. I mean, that individual sport. I was a track guy, so in track, hey, you're out there, you're in the you're in the spotlight. But same thing
Yep.
with wrestling. Okay,
Yep.
so very cool stuff. You mentioned, your career as a teacher and a coach. You're still currently, wrestling coach, but the entrepreneurial side. Talk a little bit about how Gear Locker came to be. We're going to take a deep dive into the platform, but what was its origin story?
Yeah, it truly was one of those startup origin stories that came out of a need for one of the founders, which which is me. And I had been coaching wrestling. I just finished my 17th year coaching wrestling. So at the time when we came up with the idea for Gear Locker, this was probably around, I just finished my, let's call it 12th year coaching wrestling. And I just had tried and experimented with every single, iteration of Google Sheet and Excel document that you could imagine to check out my gear to my wrestlers, check my gear back in at the end of the season, manage my inventory. And at the end of every single season, I just kept finding myself frustrated with the system and process, and gear would go missing. It would get mixed up from wrestler to wrestler. Parents would be frustrated because they'd be getting charges at the end of the season, and wrestlers thought that they had turned in the correct piece of gear. I was spending hours upon hours at the end of every season emailing parents. And I just recognized that there could be a better way that this could be done. And so that's how the Gear Locker platform truly came to be. And as I started having conversations with coaches and athletic directors, I just recognized that there was a really big need for something along these lines that could do a handful of specific things that coaches and athletic directors really wanted to see done. And that's how Gear Locker truly came to be. One of my partners is a close friend of mine who was a software entrepreneur, and I kind of pitched this idea to him, and he's like, "Man, this is something that totally needs to be built." And so we went after it, and that's the Gear Locker origin story.
Let's go and jump into it. For our listeners who might not have been on the website, and we'll give out all that information later. What is Gear Locker, and why should ADs and coaches who are listening right now be interested?
Yeah, so Gear Locker is a one-stop shop management platform, cloud-based management platform for all school-issued athletic equipment. So the beauty of it is that you've got the athletic director side of the platform, and then you've got the coach side of the platform, and it unifies everybody inside of one system. So a big part of the pain point that we've experienced as we've really tried to tackle this problem is that athletic directors oftentimes just don't have a good handle on what coaches have in inventory. Many of these athletic directors, right, are running 25 to 28 programs across their department, whether that's including activities like band, cheer, things like that. But then obviously you've got all of your traditional sports as well. And so it's just really tough when you try to manage an entire department like that with Google Sheets and Excel documents. And that's kind of been oftentimes the standard way of doing it. So an athletic director can log into the platform, and they're going to see all of their athletics and activities. They can put in any athletic team and activity that they want to put into the program or into the platform. And they're going to see a dollar amount value for all of the gear that is in the platform. They're going to see the condition of all of the items that are in the platform. They're going to see a budget forecast for items that are marked as damaged or need replaced. And so it's just going to really give them the ability to know what they need to order year over year. It's going to give them the ability to know, what programs are really in dire need of equipment replacement. And it's going to streamline everything that they do from a budgeting, purchasing, and inventory standpoint. So that's on the athletic director side of things. Now, obviously, on the coaching side of things, somebody like myself, we're running check-in, check-out on a yearly basis, and we're tasked with making sure that items don't go missing, making sure that we get items back at the end of the season. And so the beauty of what we do on the coaching side of things is that we offer things like automatic parent notifications. So when you check items out to a student, an email goes home automatically to mom and dad that says, this football player was checked out, this helmet, this set of shoulder pads, game jersey, practice jersey, game pants, practice pants, etc. Mom and dad now know what was checked out at the beginning of the season and when it's due back. At the end of the season, if any of those items are marked as missing, an email automatically goes home to mom and dad that says these items were marked as missing at the end of the season. This is how much they cost and when they're due back by. So it really is just a one-stop shop inventory management slash check-in check-out platform that organizes everything for the coach and athletic director and gets everybody moving in the same direction.
Again, the tracking gear, and you and I were talking before the podcast, football especially, as a football coach, the seemingly endless list of gear items for football can drive a coach, can drive an AD crazy. At the same time, the last thing that an AD or a coach wants to deal with is a new platform that's just going to add to their list of things to do rather than help them out. So how does GearLocker work? How does it help ADs and coaches do their job better?
Yeah, absolutely. And you hit it on the nose right there. What everybody doesn't want is something that's going to add work, right? And so we have specifically designed GearLocker to take work off of a coach and athletic director's plate and to give them a really strong handle on one of the most important pieces of their department, which is purchasing and budgeting. And so what we've done is we have integrated with student information systems. Every school runs a grade book. Every athletic department has a student information system that they have access to. Synergy, Power School, Canvas, right? All of these different organizations have the student data. What we do is we pull automatically from those organizations so that we can just automatically build a roster for a coach as a coach runs check-in and check-out. So for instance, if I just start typing in Johnny Smith in the GearLocker platform, he's gonna all the John Smiths or all the Johnnies in my school will start populating, and I can click on Johnny Smith's name, right? Just because it's populating everything from my entire school system. I click on his name and I check him out 5 items. Those items now belong to Johnny Smith, and he is now also has been placed on the wrestling team at the same time, or the football team, whichever team you're using checkout for. And so the coach really doesn't have to do anything. That's the beauty of it is the coach can they can, have everything ready to roll for them right when they're ready to check out. We do a concierge onboarding of all of their gear items. So we just have coaches send us whatever they currently have. If that's an Excel document, if that is a Google sheet, if that's a piece of paper with a bunch of helmets and shoulder pads and jerseys written down on it, they send us an image of that. We get it in the GearLocker system for them. So on day one, when they log in, they are ready to roll with equipment checkout. The thing that athletic directors really, really love that streamlines the process for them and makes their lives so much easier is there is a purchase request functionality within GearLocker that ties in the entire equipment inventory management piece to it. So for instance, if I want to submit an order for 60 wrestling singlets, I'm going to submit that order to my athletic director through the GearLocker system. As the athletic director pulls that purchase request up, he's going to see what I already currently have in inventory. I've got 45 singlets that are marked as need repair or need replaced. So he's going to know what am I ordering based and how can you compare it with what I already have in my inventory in my system. The beauty of this whole thing is that it creates a cyclical flow, right? The athletic director now has a handle on what they're actually purchasing and what they actually need. And then the coach, when they run check-in at the end of the season, they are always automatically updating their inventory just by running check-in at the end of the season. A coach, when he checks in an item, can really quickly mark the condition. Is it in good condition? Is it damaged? Is it need replaced? Right? So it's just going to automatically update that inventory at all times. If a coach either retires or a coach moves on and goes and does something else, the athletic director simply just has to delete that coach out of the GearLocker system, add the new coach into the system. The new coach automatically has access to that team's inventory, which is cloud-based and live at all times. So it really simplifies the workload for the athletic director. Instead of the athletic director having to try to figure out what the team has for gear and get the new coach trained and say, oh, hey, new coach that I just hired, I'm going to try to get your inventory to you, but I don't know where it's at or how much you have. And I'm going to go do extra work to go find that and figure that out for you, right? So we really believe we're simplifying coaches' lives, athletic directors' lives. Once coaches and athletic directors start using the platform, we just believe that our workflow is just really going to make everything drastically more efficient for them, which saves them time and money.
No, again, it sounds very cool. And having spent many years, old school wise, pencil and paper, doing inventory as a coach, and then Excel spreadsheets as an AD, it just sounds like something that coaches and ADs are going to be very excited about. Now, you worked, the platform's fairly new, but you worked with a bunch of different people. What's some of the comments and feedback that you've gotten from your clients, not just using the product, but, the whole onboarding experience? How's that gone?
Yeah. Our clients love the fact that we offer concierge onboarding. They love the fact, athletic directors love the fact that it's just like, hey, we just have to get you whatever it is that we currently have, and you get us ready to roll with the GearLocker system. And again, the comment that we just get time and time again from athletic directors is they love how it gives everybody it pushes everybody into an ironclad system. The tough part about like trying to share Google Sheets across an entire department, right, is that people can edit other people's Google Sheets, and maybe a coach forgot to share the link to his Google Sheet, or whatever happens, and there's just chaos there. So athletic directors love that we have just come up with a system that everybody can go through to get moving in the same direction. Coaches love the simplicity of it. Coaches love the fact that like I kind of spoke about earlier, their inventory is essentially just auto updated at the end of every season when they run check-in. So it's like, once you're on the GearLocker system, the old days of trying to go back through your Google Sheet and lay everything out on the gym floor and figure out what didn't come in and what did come in, and that's all over and done with. So we're helping coaches get their time back, and really just simplifying everything that they're doing.
Now, again, the website, spoiler alert, it's GearLocker, all one word, GearLocker.com. Very easy to navigate, and I'm going to guess Lincoln East is probably a pretty big public school. I spent most of my career as an AD at smaller private schools, say 400 in the high school as opposed to 4,000. Do you have different, programs for different size schools, or is it a one size fits all?
Yep, we absolutely have different programs for different size schools. So we work with each school depending upon essentially how many students they have in their school. We also offer specialty programs for schools that want to work together within a district. So we have districts. We have entire districts that are rolling GearLocker out across 5-6 high schools, 5 to 10 middle schools. Right. And that's where what I always love to tell athletic directors and district officials is, man, if you have a budget of, let's call it $5 million across several schools, and you can become 5 to 10% more efficient with managing those assets, man, you've just made a really huge win for your school system. But we also have schools of 150 students in the high school, in Nebraska, we call them Class D high schools that use and love our product. And it's great because, even a school with 150 students in it, right? You still are talking about, 20 plus sports and activities, and students checking out gear across multiple sports oftentimes. And again, what we've done is we've centralized everything into one hub. So you've got a student that plays football, basketball, and track, and the athletic director can pull that student up and see if they're missing items across all three sports, right? Or what their checkout history was across all three sports, right? So it just really, we just believe that no matter what the size of your school, big or small, our solution is going to save you time and money and headaches.
Now, again, I'm looking at this primarily from my coaching experience in football. I still remember I think one of the greatest inventions from a football coach standpoint was the integrated pants, especially for middle school kids that have the pads sewn into them and not, losing that knee pad or helping middle school kids put their pants on the right way. But on your FAQs on the website, you talk about, helmets and uniforms and warm-ups. You talk about band equipment, volleyball nets. What's a use of the GearLocker system that you guys maybe weren't thinking about, but a coach or an AD shared with you, and you go, "Wow, that's a great idea."
Yeah. I mean, a couple of the things that have been huge, a way to track locks and lockers. That's a really difficult one for a lot of people, because oftentimes locks and lockers kind of live more so like at the school level rather than at the individual program level. And so the way that our developers have built GearLocker is that, right, we've got a tiered system. So you can have items that can live at a school level. You could have items that live at a individual program level. And so we can have coaches that share locks and lockers. If the football coach uses the same lockers as the basketball coach, right, they can share those items from program to program and check those out to students, across different seasons, right? So that's one thing that has been a really big win for coaches and athletic directors. As many of us know, a lot of times it's like you got a bucket of locks and you're trying to figure out the combinations of these locks and where they live. And so getting all that kind of organized in the system has been huge. So I just think that I think the other thing, and this was previously mentioned, that has just been something that I was not on my radar as a coach so much, and that has been a huge win for athletic directors, is that purchase request feature. Being able to have one centralized hub for purchase requests. So now all coaches are submitting purchase requests through the GearLocker application. The athletic director has them all in one centralized hub. That's just been a massive win for athletic directors. In the past, the old way, right, for many athletic directors, or I should say still the current way for many athletic directors, is coaches are sending them emails. Coaches might drop off a sticky note on their desk. Coaches might stop into their office and just tell them what they want to order, right? And that can become obviously a pretty chaotic system. But this compares orders to inventory and gives an athletic director one centralized system to do it all.
Wow, great stuff. If one of our listeners wanted to find out more information, and again, the website, we just gave it out, GearLocker.com. Make sure you check it out. If they want to reach out to you directly and pick your brain, what's the best way our listeners can connect with Keenen McCurdy?
Yep, I am more than happy to take any and all emails, Keenen@GearLocker.com. I would love to hear from you, Keenen@GearLocker.com. That's KEENAN @GearLocker.com. If you fill out the demo request on our website, I am also going to see that in my direct inbox as well. So there's a demo request option on our website. We would love to just give you a free 15-minute demo of the platform. We will share our screen with you, show you what the platform does, show you what it looks like, show you how it can be a huge win for you. And would love to hear from you and show you what we can do to help you out.
Okay, and listeners, Keenen's a co-founder. He's a CEO of his company. But he's also one of us. He's a coach. He's a teacher, and the product sounds really, really cool. So make sure you check it out. Keenen, thanks again for stopping by the podcast. All the best as we wrap up the school year and the spring sports season. And we're gonna have to check back with you to see how the platform's doing.
Definitely. I really appreciate everything that you're doing, Jake. Thank you so much for your time. This has been awesome.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for sharing. For our listeners, we want to say thanks to you and remind you that we upload the Zoom recordings of every interview to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do Tech Tuesday just about every week, just about every day. We try to share stories and best practices from the world of athletics. So please come back and join us again on the next episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time. Hey, before we go, of course, we're going to give a shout out to our sponsors. Want to say thanks to Hometown. Go to hometown.com. I want to say thanks to Sideline Interactive. You'll find them at sidelineinteractive.com. Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. You'll find them at athleticsurveys.com. Huddle. I used it as a football coach. As an AD, we were a Huddle school. Go to huddle.com. Booster Hub. It's the #1 Booster Club software package. Go to boosterhub.com. Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. Check them out. I want to say thanks to Home Campus. It's a platform you're going to use every day. Go to homecampus.com. I'd like to say thank you to Gipper. Turn yourself into a social media marketing destination. That's Gipper.com. And Vital Signs Wall of Fame and Beacon Creative. Check out Vital Signs Wall of Fame. Thanks again for listening. This is the Educational AD Podcast. We will definitely see you next time.